Hey guys, Engineer Wannabe here, and we are going to be doing a mini review of the Presage Snowflake, or the Baby Snowflake, or the Fuyugeshiki, or the reference number would be the Seiko Presage SSA385J1. So this is one of the cocktail time watches. It is a limited edition. It's a limited edition of, well, it's not really limited. There's 5,000 pieces per reference, and let me just confirm that. But yep, so 7,000. Yeah, that's not limited at all. But basically a limited edition. You could call it maybe a special edition. There is 7,000 pieces per reference. So there are three references. There is the SSA385J1. There is the SRP843J1. That's the ladies cocktail time version, the ladies Fuyugeshiki. And finally, there's the SRPC97J1. That's the model without the power reserve and the small pointer date. So this one was the one that I chose of the three, of the two, and I also got this one. This is the ladies version, and that's I didn't get it for myself. This is for my wife, actually. So we got these watches to celebrate our 4th anniversary, and they're a pretty special watch. We'll dive into how special soon, but let's go ahead and start by looking at the case as usual. Now, the case is all polished. There's really not much to say about it other than it's all polished, and in this version it is extremely thick. It is close to 14.5 millimeters thick, which is massive in terms of wearability and just comfort. But that does include the boxed Hardlex crystal. So it's really thick. It's fully polished, the entire case, which makes maintaining it a bit easier, I suppose. But there's not a lot of visual interest when it comes to the case, and that's true for all the cocktail timeline, at least the modern cocktail time with the 4R movements. The crown over here is a little unimpressive to me. It's a cupcake shaped crown, but there's a bit of a gap when it's fully depressed, and that gave me a couple of concerns, or gave me concern about water resistance. It's rated for 50 meters, but I would think there is a gasket in there, a seal that blocks off entrance, so there shouldn't be any water intrusion. But again, a little unnerving to see the crown sticking up ever so slightly like that. I mentioned the crystal. Crystal is a Hardlex crystal, which is Seiko's proprietary mineral glass. It's actually very hard. It's harder than regular glass, and only a little softer than sapphire. According to the Mohs scale of hardness. I hear that that Hardlex is an 8 on that scale, so that's pretty tough. But it definitely isn't as hard as sapphire. I personally have never had any issues with Hardlex. However, if we go to my wife's Seiko, you'll see there's some pretty nasty scratches, and we think this happened because when she was doing some dishes, she banged up against the granite countertop. So not banged up, but maybe touched it or scratched it against the countertop by the sink, and that's how she managed to get it. And these are nasty gouges. You can feel it with your fingernail, and that's a bit of a bummer. But I personally, I've had quite a few Hardlex crystal watches, never had any issues with them. So your mileage may vary. Just be careful with it. Stay away from, granite, from stone, sand. Sapphire is more capable of handling those types of impacts and surface abrasions. So sapphire would have been ideal, but it's no biggie. The dial, of course, is again the star of the show, as most Seiko dials are. We have a winter scene dial. Fuyugishiki is translated to winter scene in English, and it is based on a cocktail by some master bartender in Japan. And don't really care about the cocktail. I really enjoy the fact that it's based on snow drifts, and it looks very nice. I've done a comparison of all three Grand Seiko, all three Seiko Snowflake dials. There's the Frosty, the Winter Scene, and then there's the actual Snowflake, the Grand Seiko Snowflake. So if you want to take a look back at my videos, there's one comparing all three dials. Anyway, the dial here is very nice. It's almost a silvery white dial, though. I wouldn't say that this is pure white. And just to give you some context, I have my Grand Seiko here, the Snowflake. That has a more of a true white dial, while this one has more of a silvery dial. This one has more of a true white dial. So there's a silver dial. There's that intricate pattern on the dial, and close up it looks very nice. It doesn't give you the same feeling as the Grand Seiko, but it's much cheaper, and it's very enjoyable and great value for the money. The bracelet, however, is a weak point for sure. The end links here are folded, but they don't rattle around as much as they could. I've seen solid end links that rattle around more here, but long-term durability is an uncertainty because of the folded links. The clasp is a butterfly clasp. Very secure, but again, the clasp is stamped. Again, not a big deal. Kind of a letdown, but I think this watch really shines on a strap. This watch really needs to be on a nice leather strap. The movement here is a 4R57. That is the 4R version, which has the power reserve and the small pointer date at that 6 o'clock position. So I've kind of gone through some of the negatives of this watch. It's very thick. It's got folded end links, and it has a stamped clasp. But it still is more than worth the money. It is very affordable, and it has a beautiful dial. There's no comparison here to anything on the market at this price point where you can get something this nicely done. So if you're a fan of this dial, I would say pick it up before it's gone. You should be able to find quite a bit out there below retail price, because 7,000 piece run is pretty hefty. Now the ladies version actually fits me better, and I do prefer the ladies version's bracelet. So if we take a look at this bracelet, it too has folded end links and a stamped clasp, but there is a small taper to the bracelet. One thing I forgot to mention on the SSA385 is that the bracelet is not tapered. It is 20 millimeters, and it stays 20 millimeters right up to the clasp. And when you add all these things together, this watch is not very comfortable to wear. So once you put it on a strap, it really comes to its own. When you put it on a nice nice alligator or a full grain leather strap, one that is nice and thick, so it'll take some of that height over here. It really comes to its own. It's really comfortable to wear on a strap, but on the bracelet, not so much. So I believe that's all I have to really say about the SSA385. Look back on the archives if you want to see some comparisons of this dial, and let me know if you want me to compare it to anything in my collection. Well, I thank you guys for watching, and I hope you guys have a good night. Take care. Bye.